Thanks for tuning in to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. Here you'll find tips, insight, and information to help your music and your ministry succeed. Whether you're a singer, a musician, or a songwriter, we want to help you where you are, but we also want to help you get to where you want to go. We believe that our talents are God's gift to us, but what we do with those are our gift back to God. Yesterday's information is important, but what we can learn today will make this the best day yet. Hey there, Rob Novell here, back for another episode of the CNS podcast, The Best Day Yet. Thank you so much for taking time to tune in, to listen today. Man, I love doing these. This is literally an extension of the Charles Novell School of Music. Our focus is to help people. We just want to help people, encourage people, motivate people, give tips, give insight, give instructions on how that you can be the best that you can be. We believe at CNS that an effective ministry is a polished ministry. We believe that we should give our best to God. And I came from a home, I was sharing with somebody the other day that, I am the ultimate educator, cut from the ultimate educator. I mean, my dad was all about whatever we could do through the Charles Novell School of Music to help people. And now, kind of in this season, we have an events coordinator, Corey Eisel, and she is vitally instrumental in what we do at CNS. This time of year, you all, she does not like me because we keep adding to our schedule, to our curriculum. And you know what? I'm not taking anything away. And I keep asking her literally when she's putting the schedule together to fit a square peg in a round hole, as I keep bringing things to the table that I just want to offer as much information as I can to the students that attend CNS. So I hope if you're listening, I hope either you've attended a CNS or maybe you're going to be with us in 3 weeks for CNS 23, July 16th through the 22nd at Murray State University. And you know what? If you've never been and maybe you're considering at some point attending either one of our summer sessions or a weekend seminar that we do, we're going to do several things in the calendar year of 24. That really, as soon as we wrap up CNS 23, we will start talking about next and future events that will be happening through CNS. But if you've not had the opportunity to be at a CNS, or if you have, it doesn't matter. These weekly podcasts are for everybody. They're put out here. So whether you're part of our CNS family, not part of the CNS family, or thinking about becoming part of the CNS family, we're hoping this is reaching you and giving you good tips and insight. I'm excited. On the backside of the school, we are going to have a lot of information from CNS 23 that will then translate to this side of what we do with the Best Day Yet podcast. So a lot of our segments, a lot of our seminars and classes and special events will be recorded intentionally, so we can share them on this platform as well as our online school. If you're not familiar and say maybe you can't attend CNS 23, we have an online course of study that you can get pretty much the same information. You just miss out on the in-person experience, which is great within itself. But the online curriculum is real intensive and very educational. And there is so much that you can learn through that. So if you physically can't be with us at CNS 23, this is still an option for you. You can find more information on our online courses of study at our website, which is www.cnsmusic.com. Again, that's www.cnsmusic.com. Check that out. See how we may be able to assist you there. It's a unique format. There's over 100 video courses, and when you sign up, you get 30-day access to complete all of those classes. So it's not something you have to sit down in a day or a couple days, a weekend or a week. You're going to get 30 days access. So you can build that around your work schedule. You can build that around your family schedule. You don't really have to take any time and set it aside. You can just find time each day for a month to complete all of that. So we've got a topic today, but I do want to say 3 weeks. We are 3 weeks away from CNS 23, and I'm so excited about this year. We have mentioned, and for all practical purposes, we are capped out for this year. This is normal this time of year. We have had recently a couple cancellations, so we literally may have a couple open slots. So if you would, if you are and you would like to attend, if you're considering, man, reach out to us. Again, that's at www.cnsmusic.com. It's a week of vocal training. It's a week of instrumental training. It's a week of songwriting. It's a week of sound and technology. We have a worship program. We have theory classes. We have beginning guitar classes. We have beginning piano classes. I'm really excited about our piano class this year. We are going to have access. We have both of the fine arts buildings on the campus of Murray State University for the entire week. We're the only camp that's there, and we have classes. They have what they call their old fine arts and the new fine arts. We have classes and classrooms spread across both buildings there. We have 2 auditoriums that we utilize. We have a class called performance training, and that's where students get up and perform, and we critique them as a staff on their performance and give them tips with stage presence and different things, from song selection to delivering the song to interpretation, different tools and tricks that we can give them to help them. We actually are going to have performance training going in both auditoriums. We do a session in the morning and a session in the afternoon. We are very at CNS, the Charles Novell School of Music. Someone asked me this past week to kind of explain the Charles Novell School of Music, and I told him this. We are very performance ministry oriented at CNS. We want to help you with your ministry where you are, but we want to help push you to where God needs you to be. And you're going to get vocal training. You're going to get instrumental again, sound and technology, song. We have a lot of songwriters coming this year. I'm super excited. We have a great panel of songwriting instructors that are going to be speaking to our songwriters this year. It's just an amazing, amazing week. So 2 things. Again, if you've got any interest, let me hear from you quickly. The second thing, if you're listening to this and you're not going to be there, man, I would just ask you to pray for us and for that week. That I do believe that it's going to be an extremely life-changing week for if not everybody, a good majority of the students that are there. The neat thing about the school is it's like Christmas. I literally spend 12 months planning this school, and then it's over in 6.5 days. It's like wrapping those gifts. You get them all looking nice and pretty. You stick them under the tree, and then what happens? 20 minutes and it's all over, and it's all you got left is the cleanup. So pray for us. Pray that it would be a good week, and that lives would be touched and ministries would be encouraged and advanced for the kingdom. Okay, today we've had a couple episodes on this, and looking through kind of my music room and my library, so to say, I ran across something this past week that it was a handwritten note that my dad had written. And here's what it said. It said, do it again, play it again, sing it again, read it again, write it again, run it again, rehearse it again, try it again. And then in quotes, he wrote, again is practice. So we're going to talk practice again today. Practice is going over and over and over. I grew up hearing my dad constantly practice. He believed this way. The scripture that says pray without ceasing, man, his was practice without ceasing. He believed in being in a mindset of practice all day long, whether he was at an instrument or in a setting where maybe he could vocalize or work on that end of things. If he was working, he was even at times mentally practicing and going over some things. So I want to talk. We've done this before, but man, there's so many things that we can talk about on this subject of practice. So I've got a lot of points I want to go through today. The first one is find your happy place. When it comes to practice, I think what's really, really important, music is best practiced in a place where you can be, with your thoughts, whether you like creating a space where it's quiet, you like to be somewhere off to yourself where you won't be disturbed, or maybe somewhere with a bit more of lively energy. Try and figure out what works best for you and stay consistent with that. I call that my happy place. My studio in my home is in my basement. I remember a couple years ago, I had some clients in. We were working in the studio. They left, and I went upstairs and was spending the rest of the evening with Jen. And I felt like I needed to tell her. I said, "Hey, Jen, thank you so much for allowing me to build a space in our home where I can bring strangers in, make all kinds of sounds come from up out of our basement." And here was her response. She's like, "It's all good. You stay on that level. You leave the other two levels of the house to me. You do whatever you want down there." And so I'm like, "Oh, thanks. But wait a minute. Hang on. The other two are yours." She has kicked me to the basement, you all. But coming down the steps into my studio, I have a sign, and I found this sign. I had heard my dad talk on this, and I don't know, about 5 years ago, we were out somewhere, maybe on vacation or something. I'm not sure. But I saw this kind of metal sign, and I purchased it, and it says, "This is my happy place." And it's on the wall heading down into my studio, and I see that every day, and it helps me when I get into that environment realize that I'm in a safe place. I'm in my happy place. So whatever works best for you, find that spot and then stay consistent with that. Number 2, prepare to practice. If you're dedicating a place, if you're going to build your happy place, a place for you to practice your music, make sure that it's fitted with everything you could possibly want or need to have a productive practice session, whatever it may be. I tend to late at night come into the studio with a cup of coffee. It doesn't keep me awake, so don't send me your emails telling me that's too late at night to drink coffee, or water, or a soda or something, a pop, as we called them growing up in Cincinnati. Go Bearcats, go Reds. How about them Reds right now? They dropped 2 to the Braves, but man, crazy 12-game winning streak. Wow, just crazy. So anyway, I will bring what I need, so I'm not having to stop in the middle of my practice session and go get something. I'm the type of person that if I come downstairs and I start practices for maybe 30 minutes and then I get thirsty, man, if I go upstairs to the kitchen to get something to drink, there is so many distractions between my studio, that glass of water, and back to my studio that it may divert me and pull me away from my practice. So prepare your practice place. I think it would be good to, don't get into practice and get it as songwriters. Don't get into your practice session and, start thinking of something and get an idea, and then all of a sudden realize you don't have pen and paper to write that down. If you're old school, I'm old school still. I do use technology. I may have, I do have a computer in my studio, and a lot of times I will type things and notes into there, but don't get into your practice session, start writing a song and realize you don't have pen and paper, or you left the computer in another part of your house. Again, by the time you get up, go get the computer and come back, you could very well get pulled away and distracted. So have a happy place. And then prepare that happy place. Put everything in there that you need during your practice session. Number 3, be smart before you start. What does that mean? I'm going to tell you. Imagine trying to do heavy workouts when you haven't warmed up your muscles. Think about it, like an athlete. What do we see them doing? Trey, my son, and I, we like to go to sporting events. We like the Hawks, but we kind of go to NBA games here in Atlanta, not necessarily to see the Hawks, but we'll buy tickets based around maybe our favorite team coming in or players that we really want to say we've got to see play in person. So we will go to Atlanta Hawks games. We go to Falcon games. Houday, we're Bengal fans, and we've been able, over the years that we've lived here in Georgia, we've been able to go see our team here in town. The Bearcats were in the Peach Bowl a couple years ago, and I bought tickets. Trey and I went to the Peach Bowl. We like to get to the games early, and what we like to see is all the pregame activities. And what are we seeing? We're seeing those players, those athletes warming up before they actually get into the game. So being smart before you start means getting loosened up, getting warmed up, getting yourself into a state of mind, into a physical place that you can get the ultimate time out of your practice session. Number 4, set the bar high. This one's easy for me. I come from a home steeped in musical training, but steeped in ministry as well. And with my dad, I've said this over and over, we never got to the bar. If we got close, he would grab it and pop it up a notch. So we've never got to the bar. My dad was one that firmly believed you'll never know everything that you need to know. There's always something new that you can learn on a given day. So the bar was set high for me growing up. And, they say the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Well, I think I fell close to the tree, but I fell hard. I bruised my head, and it's kind of messed me up through life, but that's okay. God knows, he sees, he cares, he helps me. But setting the bar high hasn't been hard for me. Like all things in life, it's good to have an end goal. Have dreams, have goals, have stuff that you're chasing, have an end game, have things that you are striving to get to. Music is about being creative and letting your mind and soul take control, right, from your very core. Have an end game, but also leave room for spontaneity and creativity. So I know that when I go into a practice session, I might have a plan, have a focus, have things I'm working on. But I was teaching a student earlier tonight, and we were working on chord substitution, and we played something, and I said, look, right here in this root position triad, if you simply move your thumb down a third, man, you have all of a sudden created the relative dominant 7 minor chord. And just little things that spontaneity, creativity, little things can come out of left field, so to say. So set a bar, have an end game, have something that you're striving, but don't overlook those moments of spontaneity and creativity. All right, the next one, number 5, practice smarter, not harder. We've talked about this before. You know what I think is really, really important is don't overwork. Don't overmake your practice session. Don't make it work. It's your happy place. Again, you got everything you need there to make it an enjoyable session. So what I have noticed from being a procrastinator in seasons and putting things off, I've got to a situation where my practice session is a cram session. Man, it's like back in high school when, the test was the next day and I put it off, and I had to work really, really hard studying the night before the test to cram everything in. If you approach your practice that way, I remember a regional session that we were doing once, and we were talking on this subject of practice, and one of the attendees told us they only practice right before they get ready to do a concert or a performance. And Jeff Stice was there. He asked a follow-up question, and he said, okay, so how many concerts or performances are you doing a year? I don't know, 3 or 4 was the answer. So you're practicing 3 or 4 times a year? Not enough. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to do it. But just like waiting to the last second to study for that test, if you wait to the last second to try to cram all of your practice in, man, that's working harder and not smarter. Smarter is developing a daily practice routine that, you know what, if you keep after it, it's going to become consistently will become a lifestyle. It's going to become something you don't even think about. You just find yourself doing. Number 6, you practice like you prepare. While music comes from the heart and the soul, it's your brain, y'all, that controls your hands and functions to make the music. So you need to make that mind-soul connection. You can do this by visualizing yourself playing your instrument even when you're not playing. This can help you stay focused, motivated, and even inspire you for a piece. So all that I just went over and read there, what I simply am saying here is we don't always have to be, like I mentioned with my dad earlier, in that practice session to be in a mindset of practice. There are times when I'm commuting, I'm thinking and going over certain things that I'm mentally preparing myself. So when I get to a place where I can sit down and go through it, you know what? I can practice like I've prepared. It's just a little bit of a setup. Number 7, work on your weaknesses. At CNS, we like to build on strengths and develop weaknesses. Think about your everyday life. If you are facing something, you you face a challenging situation in your life, be it health or finances, relationship. Do you just quit and give up? No. You find what needs to be worked on and you develop that area. You build off of those weaknesses. Man, the same thing we apply, listen literally to our music. Find what you're good at, build on that, but find what you need to develop and take the time to specifically during your practice session work on some of those areas. If reading music is a challenge for you, set time aside in your practice session to work reading. If rhythm is your problem, if you are rhythmically impaired, take time during your practice session to work on rhythm. If it's your left hand as a piano player, right hand you feel good and strong about, take extra time to work on your left hand, work on your weaknesses. Number 8, you don't have to, you get to. This is one of my favorite. I tell people all the time, I wish I had more time to practice. I definitely tell my students, my young ones, I ask them, I love to, when they come in, just to kind of set the tone. I greet them. I ask them how they are, how their week went. Any fun, exciting thing happened this week? Man, I've heard a lot of cool responses, funny responses to that question. But then I ask them how the music went. And, some of them are honest with me up front and say, well, I didn't practice much. I don't have to ask them, and I don't ask them. I ask them how the music's going. I don't ask them if they practice. They can start playing, and I can answer that question for them. But I tell them all the time, man, I would trade places with you in a heartbeat. You have a lot more free time on your hands than I do as an adult. A guy working multiple jobs, married, running a family, running a studio. I mean, like I said, I've got a lot on the plate, and I still will try to find time to carve out to practice. But teaching, I don't love that they're not there, but if a student doesn't show up, I love to take advantage of that 30-minute slot. And I practice. I could sit there and play on my phone for 30 minutes, but I choose to practice. My mindset is this, and I tell my students, and I try to help encourage them here. When you sit down to practice, don't look at it as I have to do this. Man, in my case, when I sit down and I get to sit down to practice, my attitude is, man, I'm excited. I get to sit down for whatever length of time that I have. I get to sit down and practice. So it's not you have to. It's a mindset. It needs to be I get to. Number 9, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to go straight into a song and trying to nail it the first time. A good piece of advice here is slow it down. You have time. I told a student last week, you're growing up in a different generation than your old Mr. Rob teacher did. For us, it was the slow path. This generation, man, it's microwave. They are used to having everything come quickly. It's on will. It's right there for them. I grew up where we didn't have that. If I needed to study for a test and I needed to, where did I go? I had to go to the library. And before I could even get to the library, I would have to organize and arrange a ride to get myself to the library. Man, these students these days literally can pick their phone up, type the subject in, and get information right there in front of them instantly. So I'm seeing this trickle down into their music. They're not taking the time to, say, my piano student, to take the time to work a piece of music hands separately. Spend time on the right hand. Spend time on the left hand. Go back to the right hand, back to the left hand before you put it together. But that's the marathon. They try to sprint their way to the end game by jumping in and trying to play it hands together. They want to play that song and they think if they just jump in, they can do it instantly. It doesn't work that way. It's better if you take your time and slow down, pump the brakes. Don't feel like you got to be at such a rush. Number 10, you know what? We'll wrap up here for today. Technology can be your friend. When trying to inspire yourself to get into your practice, it can be easy to make excuses like, my metronome needs a new battery, and then you put it off to go watch TV. Metronomes are great practice tools and essentials. I've got the old triangular wooden cased metronome that you wind it up and it clicks back and forth and keeps time. But man, I have a whole folder on my phone dedicated. The folder's title is music tools, and it's full of things that can assist me with my practice, from metronomes to in the teaching. There are sites that I subscribe to that I can pull music from and pull it up, put it in front of the student in the lesson, and email it. It's home waiting on them before they get there. So, there's a lot that I tap into with technology. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to look and see what may allow you, what we say back on number 5, to work smarter, not harder. This folder on my phone full of apps, they help me do just that. They allow me to work smarter and not harder. There are tools there that can assist me. Some of these apps that I have actually have practice tips, different drills that you can do, sight reading exercises, ear training. One of the apps I have will play intervals and you can identify them. All helps with building your ear and developing your ear. So again, just some more practice tips and some thoughts and advice and suggestions on practice. Practice is vitally important in what we do. I say it this way. You will get out of your music what you put into your music. If you're not spending time with your music, music is jealous. It wants your attention. It wants to spend as much time as possible with you. So develop a practice routine. Before you do that, find your happy place. Find a good place that you can dedicate. If you've got space in your home to create a music room, a studio, a practice area, do that. Put your practice consistently in that same place. Prepare that spot. Put everything you need in there. Everything now from water to technology. Have some of these apps. And, we didn't talk a lot on that. We may do an episode sometime on that. But type music into, if you've got an iPhone, type music in the App Store or music productivity. That's been a good search for me. And look what pops up. Take some time one night to search and look through those apps. There's a lot of free things out there. There are things that you can purchase. I will study an app. If it looks like it's worth the value of purchasing it, man, I'll buy that. So take the time to look into that and see how your practice can perfect your music. And when you do that, you'll find out that that will become your best day yet. Y'all be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under the name the Charles Novell School of Music. And for more information on CNS and our upcoming events, like our online school, our weekend regional sessions, our creative coaching, and our pastor's retreat, you can visit us at our website at www.cnsmusic.com. As you've listened to this episode, we hope that you've gained some information that you can apply to your music and to your ministry to make today the best day yet.